Hi, I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and I'm here with the Ear Trumpet Lab's Myrtle and Louise microphones. If you've been to any acoustic music shows lately, chances are you've seen some of these mics. There's a lot of people who started using them in performance as well as in the studio, especially a lot of bluegrass bands have been starting to use one of these, particularly the Louise, for the kind of one mic approach, to have one mic on stage to amplify an entire band. And there's kind of a whole choreography that goes along with doing that approach. And you can't use just any mic for that. You kind of need a specialized large diaphragm mic usually, and these are really optimized for that kind of an approach. These mics are very similar to one another, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how they differ and how you might want to use them in a performance or recording context. So both of these mics, of course, are built in the Ear Trumpet Labs shop in Portland, Oregon. They're handmade, and we've already demoed the Edwina, which is their most popular mic, and we've been using that here in the Peghead Nation studio for recording really the majority of our lessons over the last year or so, and it's a great mic. We're really satisfied with the way that sounds. But I wanted to also talk about these two mics, which are really optimized for vocal performance and also for recording more than one performer, to kind of get either a band or duo in an on-stage situation. You can tell the mics are somewhat similar. They both use a suspended ring design where the microphone is suspended within this metal ring using springs, and a slightly different approach. The Louise uses 4 springs, the Myrtle uses 8 springs, and they can actually be reconfigured as well because they just hook in there. And overall, the Louise has a slightly brighter sound, and that really makes it ideal for recording a whole band and for having the mic a little bit further away from the instruments and the vocalists, so you can kind of do the one mic approach that way. The Myrtle, Ear Trumpet Labs says sounds a lot like the Edwina. It has the same kind of head design than that mic, but because of the way it's suspended and some other modifications, it has a little bit more low end than the Edwina would, and just a little bit different sound. It's also optimized, both of these mics are optimized to work well, not so much in a close miking context, but to have it a little distance away from either your vocals or your instruments. Both of these mics feature much better feedback control than some other large diaphragm mics, and that is, of course, a very important issue for using a mic on stage, particularly when there's a lot going on, when you're having multiple instruments, and you got to run the mic fairly hot to make it work with instruments that are a little bit further away. So that is something that Ear Trumpet Labs really has dialed in quite well, and these are great examples of that. Also, both of these mics, you can adjust the way that it mounts on the handle, which would be attached to the mic stand. So you can angle it in different ways depending on how your on stage situation or how your setup is. Very easy, just a little clamp, screw with a clamp. And the mic cable would go on the bottom. Both of these mics, of course, require fan and power, which is the case for pretty much any large diaphragm mic, any condenser mic at that issue. And visually, you can tell that the Louise uses a ball with a slightly finer mesh, whereas the Myrtle has the same kind of look of the capsule itself that's familiar with the Edwina and also some other Ear Trumpet Lab mics. I mentioned the slightly brighter sound of the Louise, and there's another mic that Ear Trumpet Labs makes. It's called the Josephine, and it actually has an identical sound to the Louise in a slightly smaller design. So if this large outline of the ring on here doesn't work for you in your certain situation, then the Josephine would definitely be the way to go. So very interesting microphones. I happen to love the way they look, and a lot of people do. It's kind of a combination of a retro and modern kind of a steampunk design with these, and really it's a great look on stage. And the best thing, of course, is that they also have the performance to match that and to really deliver. So we've used these in several situations here with various different Peghead Nation artists in our studio to record some performances. So we're going to show you some of those, and you can hear what these mics sound like. And we hope you come back here to Peghead Nation to check more of our gear demos, and we'll feature some other Ear Trumpet Lab mics in the future. My name is Teja Gerken.
Where'd you get them high-heeled shoes, that dress that you got on? Got my shoes from a railroad man and my dress from Lonesome John. Where were you when the train left town? Where were you last Sunday? Well, I was out with Lonesome John and I didn't get back till Monday. Lonesome John is not your man. Lonesome John is ragged. Sleeps with his head in a yoke bed and he carries